Happy Saturday. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everybody is having a great start to their day. We're just getting out the house on our way to a little outdoor affair. How's the weather where you are? It is Saturday. And for our self-care Saturday check-in, we're actually going to have a little conversation centered around the Black Breastfeeding. Hey, transparently Timorya. I hope I'm saying your name right. Good morning, international supply partners. We are so excited about this conversation today. Make sure that transparently Timorya, please make sure I think you got to send a request to join. It may say you got an update or something like that. I'm not sure. But just want to make sure that you're able to join this amazing conversation we're going to have today. Again, it is Black Breastfeeding Week for those of you who may not be aware. And it's an absolutely amazing time for us to gather and chat. So today, we're having a little boob banter is what we call it. So if any of you are familiar with Black Breastfeeding Week, just drop that in the chat. If any of you are familiar with National Breastfeeding Month, drop that in the chat because August is actually that as well. National Breastfeeding Month and World Breastfeeding Week, Black Breastfeeding Week. It's just a whole lot going on. August brings a lot of great things. This week on Wednesday, we had a chance to chat with an amazing woman. She goes by the Chubby Taster, and she is the founder and CEO of Kitchenista, which look out for her items coming soon in TJ Maxx. That's right. Also on Thursday, the very next day, we had another great conversation with some wonderful women who had a chance to share their experiences as it relates to their breastfeeding journey too. Raising Mama Right was on. Elle Does It All was on. One of the co-hosts who had a chance to check in. We also had a chance to chat with Mom's Convo Confessions. Okay, I think it's Mama Convo Confessions. It was another great opportunity again to get together and really have some dialogue around breastfeeding, what the struggles were. Oh my gosh, almost 6 months in breastfeeding. Congratulations to you. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. And so how has your journey been? How has your journey been as it relates to that experience? Tima Grimes, let us know. How was your journey this morning? These past 6 months for you. If you would like to come on and share your experience with us, that's perfectly fine too. But we're just excited about the conversation and the opportunity to have that. I know for me, I breastfed with my first child for 11 months. At 11 months, she weaned herself. Now that experience was very different from my second child, who is going on 2. And we actually went for 22 months where I had to wean him off because he was not trying to let go at all. I'm like, you got to let go and let God. Okay, at this point, it's above me now. You got to be able to handle this on your own. But both experiences were very, very, very different. It wasn't a chance to be able to have any... I should say, it wasn't really what I expected. I thought, good morning, Leslie. I thought because of my first experience that it was going to be this very easy, seamless experience. I was going to be able to have a great time, and I was going to be able to pump so easily because that's what I did. I did that before. It was very easy for me to pump. I didn't have any. It was like I was in a totally different world. I was able to pump as much as I needed to, and it was just a really great experience. So oh wait, hold on. See, that's the 2-year-old now. He's crying. Hello, good morning, B and Tiffany. Thank you for joining our conversation. For any of our moms on who would like to jump on this live with us to talk about your breastfeeding journey. Thank you. Good morning. Any of our moms on who would like to jump on this live with us. Okay, to take 30 months with twins. Yeah, 22 months is what I did, Tima Grimes. Now, that's what I was saying while we wait for Transparently Timorya to come back. That's what I was saying. When I first went through this breastfeeding experience with my now 9-year-old who's going to be 10, it was totally different. I mean, I was pumping like a cow. My cousin used to call me T, our CBT Coco mom used to call me Mile Brown Cow. Like that was it on a regular. Those were the things that she would say because it was so easy for me to pump. Massive amounts. I was able to contribute to different breastfeeding studies and all of that. Then came my second child. That was not as easy at all. With that one, I actually struggled a great deal. First, his bilirubin levels were really high. And so immediately when he came out, I got nervous. And so we had to kind of make a decision early on, and I decided to kind of supplement. So I would breastfeed him, and I would give him a little formula as well to kind of help get those levels down. So in addition to that, it made it a little more, difficult to kind of balance. And at first I was really hard on myself. Have any of you been like super hard on yourself as a result of the decisions that you made? And then you look back on it and you're like, I think I may have made too big of a deal about this. Okay. We are inviting our blogger back on Transparently Timorya here with us this self-care Saturday as we are doing our Black Breastfeeding Week check. There you are.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, good morning.
Oh, my gosh. You have a little baby intern there with you.
It's two of them. The other one.
Hey. Hey, girl.
Say hi.
Hi. You're super cute. Listen, it's okay. I told you it's okay. And I told you that my junior interns may be here with me as well. So we are actually in the car getting ready to head. So here's one. Say hi to Coco Kid Camille.
Hi.
Hello. And Coco Kid MJ. Yeah, see.
Hi. Hi.
Say hi. Okay. So for those of you who are just wondering, the 22-month-old, we just started weaning. I just started weaning him off and earlier part of this month. And then, of course, the 9-year-old, she nursed for 11 months. So is it Timorya? Am I saying that right?
Timorya.
Timorya. Okay, perfect. So now I caught you put up a post that I was like so inspired by as you were sharing your journey. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so beautiful and yet, so intentional. And since it is Black Breastfeeding Week, I thought it would be great to kind of jump on and have this boob banter, as we will call it. Little boob banter. Now, y'all have heard a few names. Little boob banter, her titty talks. It's a whole lot of stuff that's going on around there. But the basic point of it is it's Black Breastfeeding Week, and we are having a conversation about what it means in the life of the Black mom to breastfeed.
Yes.
So please introduce yourself for those who are tuning in and let them know how old your little ones are and where you kind of were between these breastfeeding experiences.
Okay, so hi everybody. I am Timorya from Transparently Timorya on Instagram. He'll be 8 weeks tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday. My days get mixed up. And I have a 1-year-old who will be 2 on September 13th. And then I have a 4-year-old. I exclusively breastfed all of them. My 4-year-old, I breastfed for 15 months. My 1-year-old, I just recently, well, not recent, but I stopped breastfeeding her. Her last time was Christmas. So about 9 months ago was when I stopped breastfeeding her. She was about 15, 16 months. And I plan to breastfeed him until he doesn't want it anymore. The funny thing was the first time my daughter had jaundice as well. And the hospital was like, oh, we need to alternate. You need to give her formula. She needs to poop. Your breast milk's not in. I had to have an emergency C-section. So my milk was not in at all, like not even the colostrum. There was absolutely nothing coming out. They did send me home, however, on day 2. I had a C-section and they sent me home the day after I had her, which was, they weren't supposed to do that, but they did. So when I went home, I was breastfeeding. I thought that she was breastfeeding fine. She was latching fine. Her latch was beautiful. She had absolutely no problems eating. She was like really good. She's really good with the boob, like latching every 2 hours. And she was on every 2 hours. She was giving me wet diapers, but she wasn't really pooping. So I assumed that she was getting everything. And then I noticed that the top of her head, she had a lot of hair, but for some odd reason, and like the top of her head right here, her hair was like kind of sunken down more than like all the rest of her head. And I'm like, what is this? So her first week, we went to her doctor's appointment, and the doctor, like as soon as we went in, the doctor was like, we were in the house the whole time. The doctor was like, oh my gosh, she's yellow. I think she has jaundice. So they checked her bilirubin. Her bilirubin was so high, like it was really high. And they were like, she is severely dehydrated. And the doctor did not ask me. She whipped out a bottle of formula and just stuck it in her mouth. She was like, I have to get this baby to where she is not, she needs to eat something. She is right at this point, starved. So I, as a mom, I just instantly started crying. I felt inadequate. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, these crazy people just gave me this baby and sent me home. They didn't give me no insurance.
Right.
I don't know how to figure this out. I'm only 26 years old. I don't know what I'm doing. They just give anybody babies. And I literally started, like, I was like, these people going to call DCF on me.
Not you said they give anybody babies.
Girl,
Right.
They just give, because, like, when you think about it, you go to the hospital, you have a baby. They don't ask you if you want the baby. They don't ask you if you plant the baby. They don't ask you if you know what you're doing. Nothing. They just hand you this little baby and walk. Congratulations, here's your baby, and walk out the room. Do you need anything? Do you like, the only thing that I was asked like 90% of the time was, what's your pain level? Not, do you need help latching this baby? Are you going to give this baby for, like, they didn't ask any of the important questions. Do you know how to change a diaper? Do you want me to show you how to change it? Like, none of the important stuff they didn't ask. They just gave me this baby and walked out of the room. I just knew I wanted to breastfeed. I had went to so many breastfeeding classes. They had us latching baby dolls. Like, like they literally gave us like these live little, well, not live, but like these little babies that felt like real babies. And you can like open their mouths and everything and like latch them onto your boob. And I'm just like, oh, like I know what I'm doing, but, and then they tell you the milk is there. Just because you can't get it out doesn't mean the baby can't get it out. But because of my C-section, my baby wasn't getting anything out because my body hadn't realized that I had.
It didn't realize, right?
Wasn't producing any milk. And then my mom was just like, formula not gonna kill her. Just give her something. So pretty much, my mom didn't breastfeed. She tried. She tried to breastfeed me and my older brother. It just didn't work. She said we didn't want it. We wouldn't open our mouth. She was like, my brother would latch but wouldn't pull any milk out. But and then a lot of my other family members, like breastfeeding just wasn't a thing in my family. Like they were formula and that was it. Like nobody not finna be, tied down. And then most of the time my grandparents were the ones who always got baby. So my aunts and uncles and everybody would come home from the hospital with their baby and was like, here you go, grandma. And they would just leave and, like go back to the street. Like they weren't like.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't that requirement because it was, they had the support to be able to do that. And I think as a culture, as a society, that was almost still encouraged now. Like you only get 6 weeks of paid time, if any paid time, depending on what your level of employment may be. Right. And so you're kind of thrust in this situation where it's like, push this baby out and go back. Exactly. And so immediately start thinking about a detachment type of situation.
Right. And I did, which caused me to hit postpartum depression so hard. But don't get me wrong. So I was a probation officer when I had my 4-year-old, and I did get 6 months off, and I was paid. As a matter of fact, I was paid all 6 months that I was out. Well, I stayed out for 5 months because I started going stir crazy, being in the house all the time. And like I told you, just give you this baby and you take it home, and then the baby is like boring. Like the baby don't do nothing. So little person that sleep all day, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like what do you do with your life? I sat there, I think I binged watched 12 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. That was when I first started watching Grey's Anatomy. I watched that whole 12 seasons at home for 5 months, with this new baby. And then me freaking out that she has jaundice. And my grandma was like, all little black babies have jaundice. Take her outside. And I'm like, I thought you're not supposed to take a newborn baby out the door. So
they like, give them some vitamin D. And I had mine like in the fall season where, it sometimes can be cold. And I'm like, take the baby outside, but it was like take the baby outside or potentially have him readmitted. So
It works. So
hey to our CBT Coco mom who
but it worked. And so like the breast, and they'll tell you, the baby has jaundice, and you just have to have the mindset to know that your body is going to do whatever it needs to take care of your baby. The first time I didn't know that. I let those people tell me to, give me formula. I think on week after like the first 7 days, my boobs were on fire, my nipples were hurting. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. Mama, give her some formula. And I like had to like pass her off to my mom. And my mom was like, at that point she had done jumped on the bandwagon for breastfeeding. She was like, well, don't give her no little stinky formula. Just go in.
that's right, being what bougie mom. Come on, bougie nana.
I was like, wait a minute. You was the one that was telling me to give her. She told me, I changed my mind. Give her if you don't want to put the boob in her mouth, just pump it out. It's the same thing. And I had.
Well, can we pause for a minute though? Because you said something that I need to lift up. That you were in a moment and you were like, I needed to pass her off to my mom.
Yes.
And so I think it's important to lift that up because that's okay. And we need to encourage and celebrate that. One, we need to make sure that village members, you are putting yourselves in a position to be to receive the handoff. And two, we got to encourage moms. That's why I'm going to do a shameless plug here about postpartum doulas. As a postpartum doula, that was really the incentive for me to become one. I knew what I dealt with my first daughter with postpartum depression. And even though my situation was completely different from an emotional perspective, as far as I had a very supportive husband, we were in a new house, so all things equal, you should be good. And I still experienced it. And I almost kind of get a little discouraged when people talk about, oh, we got to decide, is it baby blues or is it postpartum depression? We can't minimize any of it.
Right.
I don't care. The baby blues now just kind of is like the gateway to postpartum depression, but it's still depression.
Exactly.
And so your life has been changed. Your hormones have been changed. So I just need to take a moment to lift up and applaud you and give you kudos to you for recognizing you needed to do that and for your mom for being there. And then to the villages who are tuning in, whatever way you are holding space for these Coco moms, be intuitive about that. Like, don't wait for them to say anything. That's beautiful that our Coco queen, and she's transparent. That's in her name. Okay. So she was able to do that. But if you around, ask the question. Matter of fact, just be like, give me the baby. I know it's COVID, but if they allow you over, here, give me the baby. Go take a nap or something. All right, keep going. I just had to say that.
If we're allowing you over, that means we don't mind if you hold the baby. Because at this point, you here already. Whatever germs you're bringing are already introduced into this house. So if I invite you to my family,
right,
baby, don't come. If somebody in your house sick, if you've been to work and somebody sniffed, do not come to my house. Like, they know how I am as far like anything, and that goes for like any of my kids, because all of my children have been home for the last 2.5 years, because I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 2.5 years. And my just everybody knows, and it's just like I have breast milk stored, so I have breast milk in the fridge. So anytime one of my kids gets sick, breast milk, pink eye, breast milk. If their mommy, my ears are hurting, I don't even have to know if it's an ear infection. I'm dropping it in their ear. All right, let's go. Drop it in the ear. Anything, they have a little cold. People.
That's right.
If it don't go away, then I think about getting give my baby some Tylenol because she coughed. Like I'm not, So breast milk is just used for just so many things. And with my first, because I hit postpartum so hard, and I believe most of it came from trying to breastfeed and not knowing what I was doing, not having any help. I didn't have a doula the first time around. I didn't have. I had a lactation consultant, and my baby latched on beautifully when that lady was there. But when she left, it was like
they go park crazy.
I can't, and they take the baby head and just like thrust it on your boob, and I'm like, I can't do. We can do that.
You want somebody shoving food in your face?
Right.
When you just got snatched into the world?
Exactly. Well, you see the babies, like she was like with my 4-year-old, like holding her head, and she just was like doing like this to her head. And I'm just, in my mind, ma'am, I'm not listening to you. I'm worried about why are you doing my baby head? You know, like
It's triggering. And shout out
yeah.
to Mom Convos and Confessions. She was actually one of the ones who was on Thursday, and she shared a beautiful experience. She's a new mommy too. Beautiful. She's a new mom as well. It's for first time mom, I should say. She just started the weaning process as well. And yes, it is liquid gold. So she was saying what you were referring to when you were talking about how you use the breast milk as the solution, as medicine almost. And
Yes.
yes, Shavante, they do mess around a lot. They do a lot.
And it's scary because they, like I said, you have help when you're in the hospital. So now my county offers I guess it's called postpartum care. Well, they'll send a nurse to the house, and the nurse checks. But it's a week after you have the baby. They send a nurse to the house. The nurse checks everything. And my nurse that came to the house was actually the one that discovered that I had postpartum preeclampsia. I had no issues during my first 2 pregnancies, but my second pregnancy, I remember I was home, I was breastfeeding. She told me, she was like, let me see your feet. And she took my socks off and she was like, did you realize that your feet were swollen? And I was like, well, they told me in the hospital it was fluid from the fluids that they were running through me, and that it would go down in like a week or 2 weeks, that is normal after having a baby. And she was like, your feet should not be this swollen. Do you have a headache? The headache that I was having was out of this world. But I learned after my first one to not be the person to complain, because I felt like all the complaining I did the first time, nobody listened. So I wasn't going to complain this time. I was just going to either Google it or figure it out on my own. I did get a doula the day of my birth with my 1-year-old. And she called me and she said, I'm coming over. And I was like, okay. So when the nurse was here, my doula came in and she was like, your feet should not be this swollen. And she checked my blood pressure. And at that point, it was just elevated. It wasn't high. And she was like, the nurse was like, breastfeeding can make your blood pressure worse. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what? I went from a doctor telling me that my 4-year-old was allergic to my breast milk, that's a whole nother story in itself, to now you're telling me that if I breastfeed, my blood pressure can be messed up and I could potentially die. Like, that's literally what she said.
Okay, so I'm sorry, keep going. I'll wait.
So that's literally what she said. So I'm just like, so if I breastfeed my baby, it's going to make my blood pressure high, which can cause me to have a seizure, which can pretty much cause me to go brain dead. And she was like, that's something. And she was like, it's called postpartum preeclampsia. That was the first time I ever heard of it. And I'm like, breastfeeding is going to kill me. Like, it's really going to take me out. And I got discouraged, but my doula was looking at this lady and was like, ma'am. And my doula is Black, by the way. So when the lady, she was like, let's not say that, because I don't think that that's true. She's like, as a matter of fact, I know that's not true. Breastfeeding, that has nothing to do with your blood pressure. Absolutely nothing to do with it. That's 2 completely different things. And she was like, now, if she's stressed out about her her breastfeeding, that can cause her blood pressure to go up, but not her physically breastfeeding. Like, that's not. And the lady was like, oh, that's what I meant. I had my.
But that's not what she said. And what you say is very important when you are talking to a mom who is in crisis.
A new mom of a second baby, and then I was freaking out because I hit postpartum depression so hard the first time. I knew it was coming the second time. So my grandma came. Cadence, you screaming, baby? I can't hear myself. Okay, go ring your phone in your room. So my grandma came the day that I got to the hospital.
I love the fact that she was talking. She wants to contribute to the conversation. She tried to add her part of the story. But we'll get to you, Coco kid. Don't worry about it. We'll give you your own time.
Yeah. So my grandma came. My grandma was like, I'm gonna stay with you for a couple of weeks. But she saw how much I needed her. My grandma stayed here for 7 weeks. After all I had to, with my second baby, and then I had my doula. So all I had to do was put this baby to this boob. And as soon as my grandma noticed that she was not dropping her jaw, or she wasn't moving, she'll be all up in there. She'll be like, Mo, she not dropping her jaw. I think she done. Give me the baby. And ooh,
that is beautiful. Yes, grandma.
At all, my with my second baby and with him too. So, but with my second baby, I was able to successfully breastfeed. Anytime somebody told me something, my grandma was like, they don't know what the hell they talking about. You done did this already. You know what you're doing. Put it in her mouth. She'll figure it out. And I'm just like, okay, anybody that came to the house with anything negative, and when I kept going to the hospital with the blood pressure, my blood pressure spiked to 188 over, I can't remember the bottom number. And she was like, you only 27 years old. That is entirely too high for your blood pressure, for your pressure to be that high. You need to go to the emergency room. So my first thought was, oh my gosh, who gonna feed my baby? Ladies, I cannot stress this enough. If you are having headaches, blurred vision, you're swollen, and they keep telling you that it's fluid, still go to the emergency room because and don't worry about feeding the baby. Push come for that baby, then postpartum preeclampsia to make you seize, and then they have to try to bring you back, or you end up passing because your blood pressure is too high because you're worried about how your baby gonna eat. I took my son just recently. I had to be admitted into the hospital about 5 weeks ago. And I was freaking out because I didn't want to go to the emergency room. And I was like, Mom, if I go to the emergency room, my milk just came in. He's not going to be latching. It's going to take them forever to bring me a breast pump. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And my mom was like, take him with you. Take him to the emergency room with you. And the first thing came to my head was, my baby going to have COVID because I'm trying to take him into the emergency room. And so, like, while I'm freaking out about all this stuff, my blood pressure is like, it's spiking.
And like your doula said, that is what causes the blood pressure. It's the stressing out about it.
Yes. Just have faith and just believe that, like I said, your body will do everything that it needs to do to produce for your baby. Do not stress out about it. Unless they physically tell you, like, can physically look and just be like, ma'am, there's no milk in there. Like, this baby not getting nothing. And your baby will show signs of dehydration and not getting anything. And breastfeeding is not just, your breast milk. You can, if you know a mom, because one of my friends reached out to me and she was like, my baby having a hard time pooping, and mommy not producing milk yet. And this was 2 weeks after I had my son. And she was like, can you please pump some milk for me so I can come and pick it up to give to the baby? Now, when you are sharing breast milk with people, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. When you're sharing your breast milk, you just need to give disclaimers, I guess is what the word I'm looking for. Because I had to let her know, like, listen, I'm struggling with blood pressure issues, so they have me on I can't think of the medicine. But I let her know that, I don't mind giving him the milk, but I'm just letting you know this medicine is going to be in this breast milk because it crosses. I don't know what side effect. They told me that it's not going to have no side effects. I've been breastfeeding my son just fine, and he's fine with with it. But there may be a dairy allergy, and you just let that mom. And most of the time, all the babies I know of, tell you, I can. I consume cow milk, so all of this stuff is going to breast milk because a lot of people, have allergies. Or they will and they'll give you some milk, and then your baby quick. The first time, poison milk. It is like,
we're all set. Let's go. Turn right.
Something in the breast milk. So I have done. I've breastfed 2 of my kids at once because with my 4-year-old, when she saw me breastfeeding the 1-year-old, she wanted milk. But she didn't want milk out of the refrigerator. She wanted milk out of my boobs. And she remembered the signs. She would come up to me at 2 years old, know how to speak full sentences, and she would go like this. And I'm looking at her like, girl, you're not about to latch to me with all them teeth. Are you crazy?
Not with all those teeth.
Like, mommy, I'm not going to bite. And I'm just like, if you can tell me that, you don't need to be latched to me. And so she would whine, and my husband was just like, just water fountain her. And I'm just like, what? And he was like, just do the water fountain. So here's me with one baby latched to the boob, and then I got the other boob like this, like shooting the water out and my 2-year-old over there like this. And she
look at this one in the back. Right. He probably hears something about, he like, wait, that's an option? I didn't know you could even do that. Somebody tell this lady, because she cut me off.
I literally, like, every time I had to feed my 1-year-old, I had to water fountain my 2-year-old. So now that I'm breastfeeding him, both of them are asking for it. And my 4-year-old, I'm like, girl, no, we're not doing this. You can go get like one of the little boob sickles out the fridge and call it a day. But baby girl, you go to school. You're not about to be latching to my boob. You are in public. No, ma'am. No, you're too big. So she was like, but mommy, it's just milk. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, I know. But she doesn't like warm milk. So she want me to squeeze the milk out into a cup and put some ice in it. Girl, I'm not doing all that.
Wait, talk about. She wants it to come from the tap, and she wants it to be chilled, is what I heard her say.
She'll go get a cup. Like, mommy, can you squeeze some of your milk? Can you squeeze some of your milk in here? And then, so the one time I did it, she went over to the fridge and to the ice maker and just pushed the cup up to the thing. And I'm looking at her like, first of all, don't play with my ice machine. And number two, what are you doing? And she was like, well, mommy, it's hot. I want it cold. And I'm like, this is the most who prefers, you want chilled breast milk, pretty much.
She need her own show. I told you, that's why I said Coco Kid, she will be on. She needs her own time to talk about her experience from her perspective. Because we're getting, and can I just say, there is a lot of amazing feedback. I'm luxury. Shout out to everyone dropping comments and hearts and likes in here. Mom Combos and Confession says, I'm learning so much, and that's absolutely why we're here, why we wanted to host this Boob Banter today. Mom and Combos also said, I had donor milk in the beginning because of a C-section. Yes, I remember you talked about the C-section, and I'm glad she lifted that up because I did want to also mention that. I know you mentioned about the milk sharing, and that is absolutely something even our proud Coco Mom L talked about doing with her cousin. And so, further disclaimer, yes, you got to be transparent with people, but usually people leverage that with, very close friends, very close family members that they can. It is ancestral for us, right? It's not like it's a new thing that we've done. We do have to be mindful because of diets and eating habits and, like you said, some pre-existing conditions that may be there. And then there's also donor milk. And those donor banks, the milk banks, they actually they do some major vetting as it relates to the milk. And shout out to Miss Valencia, our Coco mom, who just became a mom at the end of last year. She actually had a similar experience like I was sharing in the beginning, where she was producing massive amounts of milk. And so she donated, I think, over 1,000 ounces of milk she was able to donate. With my first child, I was, again, like I said, pumping like a well.
Yes.
Filled up well, and I was able to donate milk not only to a milk bank but also to a breast milk study. And so they still check in with me once a year to see how Camille is doing, Coco Kid Camille is doing, because they want to follow breastfed children. And I was so excited to be a part of it, especially being a Black mom. And so it made a major difference to me in what we can contribute. And so especially now with COVID and you have a baby, like all these stories that you're sharing, your experiences that you're sharing, they mean the world to science, right? And we trust God for everything that he's doing for us. And we know that he's gifted us with scientists who can help. And so because we already know the disparities that are faced in our community, and I got to take another quick minute to do a pause, because I read this article. I don't know if anybody else read it, but girlfriend of mine actually sent it to me. But it was an article written by CNN journalists, and it got some major views. And I'm gonna drop their names in the comments when I turn it back over to you, Timorya. But it was talking about the disparities in our community. But not only did it talk about the disparities, the maternal health disparities, the racial disparities that we experience, but it also took the time to share stories of Black moms, of medical practitioners who actually spoke to the racism that they've seen and have had to address. And so I just want to say that because I also want to lift up something that you said about when you interacted with the one practitioner. And I don't know if she was black, white, brown, orange, or green, that said that your breastfeeding could be causing the spike in your blood pressure. But I do want to ask if you could speak about if you have encountered anything like that, anything that, definitely was on the heels of racial and civil unrest as it relates to your maternal health experience.
So I did, with my 4-year-old, I was having, so I've suffered from postpartum preeclampsia with my second baby and my third baby. I feel like now that I look back, I also suffered from it with my first baby, but they weren't listening. I had this crazy headache that came out of nowhere, and I was like, I kid you not, the headache was so bad, I was praying to God to not wake up. I was like, Lord, please, like, if I'm just supposed to go, if this is what's gonna take me out, please take me now, like while my husband home, while somebody is here to be here with my baby, because I do not want to leave, this head, like I just felt like my head was going to explode, like it was going to literally blow up. It was so much pressure in my head, and I went to the emergency room. They kept sending me home. I went back to my doctor. This lady didn't even look at me. She was like, oh, you're being over exaggerated, it doesn't hurt that bad. And I'm just like, ma'am, like, I don't even, at this point, I don't even want to be here anymore. My head hurting so bad. Like, I'm scared to, I'm telling you right now, I am physically scared that I am not going to make it if you let me walk out of here right now. And she was like, take a ibuprofen, you'll be fine. She gave me some 800 milligram ibuprofen. And she was like, well, they gave you, I think it was like tramadol or something. Because after you have a C-section, they're going to give you like some strong narcotics, because the pain is absolutely, I know what it is, because I refuse all pain I refuse all pain medicine, because they told me that it could cross through your breast milk. So I didn't take none of it. So I was literally there like dying from like all the pain from, just giving birth. That headache was 10 times worse than that. Like, it was horrible. And I'm just like, why is nobody listening to me? Like,
well, and because it's a near-death experience, can we lift that up as well?
yes.
Like, it's a near-death experience. I think we keep being like, oh, we had these babies and we had C-sections, or they were vaginal, and, all of this stuff. And, then life goes on. Your body obviously is reacting to trauma. Now, we know it's a beautiful thing. Again, the bringing forth the gift of life that God has given us is a beautiful thing, but it's still near death nonetheless. So, and then especially when you're having a C-section, like, that's major surgery.
Exactly. And like, no, and they just didn't understand. So then I remember when I went to my 6-week check, mind you, so I went all this time, and she was like, you just need a chiropractor. So then I go to my chiropractor, and shout out to Dr. Jita at Tradition Medical Chiropractor. That man was absolutely awesome. And he is I don't know where he's from. I want to say he like, I would hate to say that he like, Arab or something like that, but he is he not black or white, like, he from somewhere else. I just can't remember where right now. But he was like, we practice, holistic like traditional stuff. And so he gave me these.
So he might be like Middle Eastern.
Yeah, something like that. I wasn't
okay.
Like, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. But we appreciate him stepping in for you, whatever it is, wherever he is from.
Yeah, he was like, well, your headache. So after he evaluated me, he checked me out, and he said, well, your headache is coming from your spinal tap from your C-section. And he said, but the only thing that the hospital would have had to do was do a blood patch. They take some blood out of your finger, and then they stick it back, where the epidural, the spinal tap bruise is, because the spinal tap, it leaves bruises on your back. Like, and I still have my bruise from my spinal tap 4 years ago. I still have, my husband can put his finger exactly where that man stuck the needle in my back. So he said all the hospital or your doctor, they could have did it at your doctor's office. All they had to do was do, a blood patch, and you would have been completely fine within hours. And he was like, I wonder why they didn't do that. And then he said they do it for all my other patients. And I'm just like, so his assistant was like, she didn't say it loud, but she whispered it. She was like, yeah, all your other patients white too. And I was like,
right. Thank you to whomever who was transparent enough to say that. Keep going, because you just made me think of a story, an experience that was equally, interesting to it. And I'm sure all of us, that's the unfortunate side of it. That's why we have to have these conversations. But yeah, keep going. So I'm glad she acknowledged that wasn't unique because of, the color of your skin.
Right. So I was like, what? And then he was like, yeah, I hate that, you guys have to go through he was like, I hate that you guys have to go through this. Like, he was like, it's already enough that they do it, you know, just blatantly everywhere else, but you shouldn't have to worry about that when it comes down to your life and health in the hospital. Like, if they feel any type of way, they shouldn't be working at an emergency room, because you never know, people of all walks of life comes into these emergency rooms. So I'm just like, I'm so naive, y'all. Like, it's not even funny. I was like, yeah, no, I've known this lady. This lady done been all in my stuff even before I had this baby. I've been coming here since I was 21 years old. Like, she wouldn't do me like this. She not gonna. And mind you, my doctor, my OB was Asian, and I was like, she would not do me like that. Like, the way she came in here, bossing these people around and letting these people have it because they gave me this goddamn Pitocin, and she told them not to give me Pitocin, and they did it anyway. And she was pissed, and she pretty much snatched the IV out of my arm. She like grabbed it and bent it and put the little thing on it, and she was like, I told them not to give you Pitocin, like, all of this stuff. She was like, with African American women, Pitocin is just not the way to go, because our bodies just don't work with it, and it normally leads us into having a C-section. And I'm just like, and she was like, this it's just, we just don't give her any more Pitocin. And then it was just crazy. So I didn't think that, she would do that to me. Mind you, her husband was white. He was definitely white. And he was the person that I saw for my postpartum checkup. So when I walked in there, this man didn't ask me how I was doing. He didn't ask me about my headache. He didn't ask me about anything. He didn't even look at me. I can't even tell you what color his eyes were. And this was way pre-COVID. I should have been able to tell you what color this man's eyes was, because he should have been able to look me in my eyes as a patient in his doctor's office. I had only had interaction with his wife, never him. But this time she wasn't there, so I had to have interaction with him. And he was so rude. And I'm like, I'm only 6 weeks postpartum. I was already going through postpartum depression. I told him that, but my postpartum depression, it comes out in a bunch of different ways. So mine was targeted more towards my husband and not my baby. Like, kudos to my husband for sticking it out, because if I was him, baby, I would have left. I would like, listen, do it on your own then. And I would have just packed myself and I would have got out of here. I didn't let him hold the baby. He couldn't. He would walk through the door and it would piss me off. If I was breastfeeding, I didn't want him to look like, oh, I couldn't stand the smell of the man. I'm just like, why is this like this? I was obsessed with my husband before I had this baby. And I'm just like, now I just can't even stand I couldn't stand to look at him. And he stuck it out the whole way. I'm talking about, like, he was so helpful. I would be sleeping and I could feel the baby latch to my boob. And I'm like, what the hell? He would literally take the baby from her crib, lift my shirt up, and just put the baby on my boob. Instead of, like, waking, he was like, well, I didn't want to wake you from your sleep. And in my head, I'm like, if somebody pulling on your nipples, wouldn't you wake up? And so he was just like, well, you were sleeping so peacefully, and like all of that. And I still was being like super duper mean to him. And I didn't realize that it was postpartum depression. And it was like, I had to physically be diagnosed with it for them, because, and then, with us, it's, girl, you're not depressed, you just mad. And I'm like, what?
You're not depressed because and that's it. It's like, oh, you're not depressed, you fine. Oh, this. Oh, you just need a spa day. Oh, you just need to implement some self-care strategies.
Right. And I was always told, prayer bite.
Oh, yeah.
I need more than.
Well, yes, because you want the prayer and the work, right? It's like the faith and the work together.
Because God said, don't be no fool. You can pray about it, but you better go get some help too. Because at this point, I put all these people here to help you. You need to go get the help that I put in place. Right? Ask questions. They always tell you, oh, you can call the lactation consultant. You can call the lactation. I'm going to the hospital. I need to see her. I need to physically talk to her. I need her to physically see what this baby doing on my boob. If I can't come to the emergency room, everybody and their grandmama got an iPhone. FaceTime me. Can you face, or can we Google Duo or something? So
we can Google, we can WhatsApp, we can hang out, we can Zoom, we can, the list goes on and on and on of the ways that care can be distributed. And they're making billions off of, things like Teledoc and all of these resources. So yes, support from a lactation professional is available.
And you have free resources on Instagram. Like, listen, if y'all I've breastfed 3 times for over a year. I've been breastfeeding since, like, my family was laughing at me the other day because they were like, we sent you some wine. And I'm just like, okay, I haven't had a drink in 4 years. And my grandma's talking about, well, why not? I said, because I either been pregnant or breastfeeding since 2017. Or 2016. When can I do anything? Because at this point, as much wine as I want to drink, I can't, because my baby gonna be drunk.
So, and I'm glad you said that. Let's just pause for a minute and lift that up. So this was her choice not to, right?
Yes.
And not that we are advocating for you getting lit while breastfeeding.
Right.
But just want to put out there, make sure you do talk to lactation consultants about it, because you actually can. You don't have to pump and dump and things like that. Now, of course, whatever you take in, the baby's getting, right? So you got to be mindful of that. And that goes for anything. That's including your diet and your food, right? We will jump on people about having a glass of wine, but sit over there and let them scarf down
A
a
whole
cheeseburger or a whole bottle of soda.
whole bottle of sodas. It's the same thing.
So it is what it is. So, we're talking, but one thing I do want to lift up, because shout out to all the Coco dads there. Big time. And that's what I was going to say when you were talking. It reminded me of my husband, Musa, who had to step in when we were at the hospital having our second child, the 22-month-old. And I remember that they were talking around. Well, I don't remember. This is what I remember him telling me. I remember the nurses talking around me, and they did not look like us at all. It was a hospital that did not look like us. But, there's this standard of care that you assume happens, and it does, just not for us in those places. And so I didn't, at the time, have a doula, but I did have my cousin, again, this EBT Coco mom in there, who had attended several births. And so she was a great birth support at that angle. I had my aunt there. But before all of that happened, Musa had to step in and check one of the nurses who was talking around me. And as I was getting like kind of cold and my blood pressure was like, so you see this right here? If her blood pressure drops and she starts coding, it's going to be, he was like, can you take that outside? Like, he was like, listen, he was like, I understand this may be a teaching situation. You may be trying to educate or whatever, but she's here pregnant and going through this. I need you to take that outside. So Coco Queens, we say this because you need to make sure you have an advocate there. And listen, we know things have just become extra complicated, right? Because now COVID, they trying to limit who can be in there and all of these sources. But you need to make sure, if your spouse, your partner is there with you, make sure, if you cannot have a doula or if you cannot have someone there, make sure you're talking to a birth doula, a birth worker, a midwife. Have a midwife if you can. If you decide, if you are a home birth type person and someone, that's perfectly fine. But if you feel comfortable in a facility, do that. What we really need you to take away, whether it's your breastfeeding experience, your pregnancy experience, your postpartum, we need you to make sure you are latching onto your resources. That is exactly what we are here about. And again, that's why her name has transparent. That's why her IG tag has transparent in it. So if you could, first, Timorya, I want you to finish up what you were just saying as it relates to your journey. And then if you could share some, tips that you picked up for those who may just be joining us, just a couple of tips as we wrap up our conversation for this morning of our Boob Banter, just about, how to stay encouraged throughout this journey too.
Okay. So whenever you feel like, because I did have, like I said, I had the first time I had the issues with race. Now, don't get me wrong, because this was another thing that I really wanted to touch on real quick. Because the second time around, I was like, everybody in the room better be black. I want black doctors, black nurses, black everything. I don't want anything other than
Black on black on black.
anyone with. I don't want nobody else in there, because I done gave the Asians a chance. I done gave white people a chance, and they pretty much treated me like a little bald-headed stepchild. Like, do not do me like this. So the second time, I set all of that up, and I made sure that it was so. And I still did not have a good experience the second time, because my black doctor was very, very, very arrogant. Oh my gosh. And it is way harder to tell a black woman no than it is to tell a white woman or a white man no. Like, it.
Ooh, you said that.
Tell her, like, it was, girl, you being the baby. Open your legs and let me put this catheter in. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Why do I need a catheter if I'm trying to have a VBAC? I'm trying to push my baby out through the vagina. I don't need you to be putting nothing in there. We trying to get something out. She forced so much stuff on me. And like when I tried to tell her no, I was being a baby. I was being selfish.
Not she said a baby though.
Yes, she called me. I was 20, 28. She called me a baby. You just being a big baby.
Oh no.
It's not going to. Told me another one. Formula not going to kill her. And I'm like, wait a minute, ma'am. And so then this third time around, I was like, anybody come in my room with that BS getting sent out. I don't care what color they could be green. Get out, because I don't want you in here. And I did. I went to Palms West Emergency Room, Palms West Medical Center in Palm Beach. And this man walked in the room and he said, the baby's showing D cells. So we may be looking at a C-section. I immediately, sir, you're fired and you can get out. Anybody else that want to cut me open can get out too. And I said it way harsher than what I just said. I was being real. It was a real nice, nasty the way he got it. And he looked at me and he was like, excuse me. I said, was there any part of anything that I just said that you did not understand? Because you a whole doctor in here. So I know you understood what I just said. Please get out. He did his hands like this and he walked out of the room. And it was another little nurse. She was too. She walked behind him and I was like, goodbye. And so I'll never forget my nurse, Marissa. She was Black. She said, girl, when I tell you, you just gave me chills by sending him out of here, because he can be a whole other person. Like he is a character.
Kudos. Okay, shout out that medical center again. What was the name of the medical center? And the person?
Palms West Emergency Room. It's a children's hospital in Palm Beach.
Got it.
And it's a lot of us in there. A whole lot of us. I mean, I felt like home door. Every in there was Black. Except for that one man that walked in there talking about it. Nobody else mentioned the C-section. My nurse, my midwife, everybody right there. Nobody. My doula. Nobody said nothing about a C-section. Yeah, the baby showing D cells, but apparently it wasn't bad enough for them to mention a C-section. So why would you come in here and the first thing you say is this? Sir, I'm not getting cut today. I am pushing this baby out of here. Okay? And I'm not playing. When I code, that's when you can decide to take her out. Take him out. Nobody's cutting me today. I'm not having a C-section. I'm pushing this baby out. And so tips that I want to give to you. Fight for yourself. Because now that COVID is here, COVID not helping us as African American women. It's making it worse, because before, with my 4-year-old, I had my mama in the room, my 2 best friends was in the room, my brother was there, my husband was there, my cousin was there, my husband's mom was on her way there. There was no limit of how many people can be in your room. So you have all of these voices that if anything go wrong, or if somebody feels some type of way, somebody was going to say something. Now that COVID is here, it's just, at some hospitals, it's just you. And so your husband is outside, praying that you even come out of the room at this point, because he can't come in because of COVID, or because he came into contact with somebody that had COVID. They're not letting him on the baby floor. So it was like with Palms West, they told us you can have one other person in the room. And I said, okay. So I had to decide whether I was going to have my doula in the room or my husband in the room. Because at first I assumed that my doula was a part of the hospital. She could come. When she got there, they were like, no, ma'am, only one person can be in this room, including doulas or whoever, midwife, whatever. But it can only be one person. This was my first son that I was having. So I'm not even finna lie to y'all. I looked at my husband like, I'll call you when he out. Because I need her to be in this room. Because I need her to fight for me. Because, baby,
right.
You don't know what you finna be playing in your phone. No. Can you step out and let her stay? And he looked at me like, girl, I am not leaving you in it. He was, because it didn't make it any better that we had just watched the movie Fatherhood with Kevin Hart. I don't know if y'all seen it, but if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to ruin it.
Yes.
My husband was, we just watched that movie 3 days ago. You think he's doing this? Absolutely not. He was like, I'm sorry. He FaceTime her. Because I was so serious about having that. Because I'm like, she know all the massage points. Like, if you don't have a doula as an African American woman, go get you one. Go get you a doula. You need a doula for the pregnancy. You need a doula for postpartum as well. Go get you one. If you can get one that does all of it, you gotta go. You gotta keep like
full spectrum. And many of them, like I work with a lot of full spectrum doulas, but I also work with a lot of doulas who are birth doulas, because that way we can tag team and we can communicate. Because it was of no interest to me to be on the birthing side, but I knew where I wanted to be, and vice versa.
Right.
Because of, so full spectrum doulas, they do it all. They do the birth, they do, a lot of them do fertility, like even before you get pregnant, like
Yeah.
they're with you, they do the pregnancy and the postpartum. Then you got birthing doulas, you have postpartum doulas, you have many different types of doulas. So educate yourself, and
Yes.
yes, I agree. Yep, keep going.
Because at this point, like your OB not coming to your doula is going to come to your house. Like, she is going to know. My doula has literally become a part of my family. Like, my kids know her by name. They love her. She's been here since, like I said, my soon to be 2-year-old. She delivered that one, and this one she low key delivered him via phone, because she made sure she was on the phone 3 o'clock in the morning. She was there. She kept calling. My husband, the phone calls dropping, she called back. She was like, "Hey, don't hang up on me." And we was like, "We're not hanging up." The phone dropping, and you can't hear anything because all of the people outside popping fireworks. Because I had him on 4th of July. Like, I had him the day of 4th of July, and they were popping firecrackers on the way to the hospital. We were seeing, fireworks, which annoyed me so bad, trying to give birth and just hear all of this explosives going on outside. It was horrible, but it happened. So get you a doula. I know at one point in time I was scared to have one, because I also thought that doulas had something to do with, like, I guess, like, your faith. And
Right, like from the spiritual aspect. Yeah.
my doula don't talk about that at all. Like, she is here and she focuses on me and she focuses on my kids. A week after I had my baby, she came over here. She took the baby from me and she was like, just sit up there, relax, put your feet up, and just relax. And she was here for about 2 hours. And then when she was getting ready to go, she gave me the baby back and she said, "Before I leave, what do you need done around here? What do you want me to do?" She's like, is dinner made? Do you need me to clean up something? Do you want me to wash the I have like a few dishes in the sink. She's like, "Do you want me to wash the dishes? Is there anything? Do the kids need to be changed?" Like, anything. And that's your postpartum doula. And then one of my friends, she came over here with some herbs in a pot and she made me sit over this pot, and like, she did me a little, I think it's called a yoni steam or some kind of steam.
The yoni steam. Yep, the yoni
Oh
steam.
my gosh, that was the best thing I've had. And then when we finished, she gave me a massage. It's like it was, having a doula was for me. Like, the experience was absolutely beautiful, and it's just like you have your own doctor at your house. Like, in this, you got a masseuse, you got a friend, you have at this point a maid, because she was willing to clean my whole house.
I mean, it's it is the full service. You know how you go to a gas station, it used to be full service or self-service. It is a full service experience with a doula. And many doulas have different, like you said, services that they offer. Some of them do laundry. Some of us do the cooking, and so, I'm actually absolutely, I can make sure you eat. I don't really do too much doula. I mean, cooking. But yes, and so I was just going to lift that up. Mom's Convos and Confessions just said, are they covered through, or asked, are they covered through the insurance or out of pocket? Guess what? Some insurances do cover, but you have to ask. Don't try to go read your policy. Ask, especially if you are on programs that are heavily funded, like by the state or things like that, or depending on the level of care and coverage that you have. Ask. I used to work in insurances, and call and ask specifically. And if they don't give you a direct answer, like no, and able to point it out, ask more questions. So that was one of the first tips that Timorya gave us, as I'm typing out Timorya's tips. Fight for yourself, be able to advocate yourself. And then you also said, get yourself a postpartum doula, get yourself a doula. And what other tip do you have?
And real quick to touch on that. If you go to your health department, I don't care what financial status you're at, your local health department has a doula. They have one that works for their office.
Yep.
You can use them. My insurance, as a matter of fact, I don't even know if my insurance, the health department pays them. The ones that are at the health department. So they're not even going, she didn't even ask me for an insurance card. And I know we don't qualify for nothing. Because they laughed. They laughed when they were like, "Did you apply for WIC?" When I tried to give up breastfeeding the first time, and I found out how much formula was, and I was like, "Baby girl, who about to pay for this?" Because that's another thing. Breastfeeding is free.
That's why I liked it, because formula is expensive.
And
Woo.
the cleanup, there's no what cleanup when you breastfeeding. Latch, unlatch, you're done. That's it. You don't have no bottles. You ain't got to worry about. You forgot the bottle at home. You forgot the formula at home. Another thing, another tip, don't be afraid to feed your baby. A lot of moms will let their baby scream because they're worried about what somebody else is going to say walking by. They not worried about you while they're eating their burger in the car, digging in their nose. They ain't asking no questions. They just eating their food and they minding their own business. Breastfeed your baby. Because we were at Cheddar's and my baby screaming and I'm looking at my mom and I'm like, Mom, it's been 2 hours. She hungry. And my mom was like, feed her. And I'm like, I'm not about to pull my boob out of this.
Feed that baby. Feed, right. Breastfeed fearlessly.
Yes. And she was like, girl, if you don't feed that baby, I know so. And I'm like, you should have bought a bottle if that was the case. This don't make no sense. So my mom like got so mad with me, like just not. I'm like, Ma, and I was like I said, I was a probation officer. I was like, Ma, they gonna charge me with indecent exposure because I'm pulling my titties out in these people's restaurant. And she talking about, girl, no, they not. And my grandma looked at me and she was like, you are one of the craziest people I ever met in my life. Put the boob in the baby mouth. So I did it, and I remember this white man walked past the table, and he was like, "That's what I'm talking about. Feed that baby." And that was the
I love that. Yes, affirmation.
yes. And here go my brother. You need to go to the bathroom. Don't nobody want to look at your boob. Another tip: we don't care.
We do not care.
Look away. If you don't want to see it, look the other way. I did not ask you to walk over here and look at my boob. I did not ask you, did you want some milk? I did not ask you for permission to feed my baby. Do not be afraid to feed your child. There's all kinds of things that you can use if you don't want the world to see your boob. There's covers. Hold on, baby. There's food that you have car seat covers that you can put over yourself and feed your baby. They're breathable. The baby not gonna like it because especially if you don't cover them at home, your baby gonna fight you the whole way. Cadence used to pull the cover off her face and like, I need to eat and see too, because she was one of those
That
babies.
was MJ. Especially when they get older.
Yes.
If you are breastfeeding past, infancy and baby stage and into toddler, they just get downright disrespectful. And try to do acrobats and watch TV with. I mean, it's very quite interesting.
Yes. So don't be afraid of your baby. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And when you're asking for help, because I am bad at this. I am the type of person that feels like I shouldn't have to tell you to do certain things. And I kind of feel like everybody have the mind reader superpower, and that's not like, people can't read your. I know now, and even though I do know, I still will get mad at my husband or get aggravated with my kids because they're doing something, and I'm like, now you shouldn't. I shouldn't have to tell you that you shouldn't have to do this, or I shouldn't have to ask you to help me with this. But if you don't ask, they don't know that you need help because you look like you got it together. You're not asking to help change diapers. Cadence, get down.
Especially if you looking like you got it together.
Yes.
If you run around here with the super mom syndrome and you're trying to figure out, it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is okay.
And that was me. I remember, I was laughing when you were talking about your husband. I remember doing that. Like, Musa was not able to really touch the baby for like a long time. He was like, okay, I'm going to give you this time. I'm going to see. And it was so funny because I think like a couple of months passed and his Christmas gift to me was getting me tickets to go to his concert with my girlfriend, which meant I had to leave the baby home. And I remember being like, I feel like you're trying to make me leave the house without the baby. And he was like, okay, it's time. It's time.
Anxiety too. So like when I would leave my kids home with anybody, including their dad, I'm talking about, don't let me FaceTime you when you don't pick this phone up. Cause I could be in the middle of a flight and I'm putting on a life jacket and I'm jumping out to come see what you're doing and why you're not answering this phone.
What'd you say? Parachute and all. I'm telling you. And it took a year. It probably took almost a year for me to even let him drive the baby around in his car. Like, because he had a sports car and I just felt like that was just too closed in. I was like, no.
Had a box Chevy that sounded like a freaking, I don't know, it sounded like his muffler had fell into the gas. I don't know. It just was so loud. So every time, like his days when he had to pick the baby up from, because the 4-year-old did go to daycare for a year. So like when I knew it was his day to pick her up, y'all, I kid y'all, would make up an excuse to go home. I'd be like, hey, listen, my stomach hurt. Can I leave? Just so I can get to the daycare first before him to pick her up, because I did not want her in the car. And I'm just like, they have to listen to that. And then he was like, why are you like this? Y'all, let them men help y'all.
Let them help you. Please let them help you. And God bless y'all for
Yes.
putting up with the likes of us, obviously.
Exactly. Because breastfeeding moms, like, you're going to feel like you have no help, and that, like, you're going to feel like you have no help, but you're feeling that way because you're not delegating. Delegate. Feed the baby. If he or she falls asleep, wake him up because he's asleep. He don't know the baby woke because he's snoring. He can't hear nothing. And he probably got to go to work in the morning. So, yeah, he going to be tired. But
Right.
this our baby, because my husband don't believe in that 50-50 stuff at all. He ain't with all of that. He going to work. He come home as soon as he walked through the door. I've been home all day, but I've been home with 3 kids all day. My husband comes straight through the door and take the baby away from me. Mommy. And here's this, like, baby, go use the bathroom, because I know you ain't went to go use the bathroom. Did you eat my food? I warmed my food up like 3 times, and it's still in the microwave right now. It's still in the microwave. And
I was about to say, you mean like currently?
Girl,
See?
yes, I will warm up my food, because I have the 1-year-old need attention. When the 1-year-old don't need attention, then the baby up. And if both of them up needing attention, and then I have to get this one ready for school every day. And she just requires a lot. And you'll think that you give more attention.
Then you got little Robin Robertson down there who about to
attached to me 24/7, or he gonna cry. Like, I'm just like, what is up with these like, oh my gosh. The baby,
they are something special. And I mean, kudos to you for you and your husband for balancing all the things and lifting up those. And I put them in the chat, but I just want to read them off. Timorya's tips are: fight for yourself, get a doula, postpartum or birth, unless they do both. Breastfeed fearlessly. You don't need permission to feed your baby
at all.
and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Be specific.
Yes.
What you're asking for. Because don't just say, I need help. Okay, what you need
Right.
to do? Can you wash the baby? Can you get the baby? Can you change the baby? Can you feed the other kids? Can you bathe? Like, specifically tell them what you want to do. Do not get mad because they cannot read your mind, because they can't. I still get mad, y'all. I know I'm telling y'all not to do it. I still get mad when I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, it's 8:30, the kids ain't bathed, ain't nobody ate. Like, you're not gonna try to do nothing. In my head, I'm saying all of this. And he, like, when I get mad, I start shaking my leg. And when my husband see my leg shake, y'all, I kid you not, that last night is when it happened. He got up, he bathed the kids, and he was like, I'm about to go to McDonald's because I don't think nobody ate yet. And I was like, no, nobody haven't eaten yet. And the baby was cluster feeding yesterday. They're going to, cluster feeding. Listen, there's nothing wrong.
Oh, yes. Thank you for lifting that up.
He is hungry every hour. Give him the boob. There's nothing wrong with the baby, because you're going to feel like, oh my God, something wrong. He keep crying. Why is he crying? Do he have gas? Do he have this? Is it this? Is it that? No, he's cluster feeding. He's telling your body that it needs more milk. So are they hungry every hour? He probably is hungry. Put the boob in his mouth. A baby that's not hungry not going to eat anyway. He's just going to lay there. And another thing is newborn babies, they bite. It hurts. It does not feel good. Do not let the baby idle on your boob. If once they're done, their jaw will drop when they're eating. I'm talking about, you can clearly, distinctly tell that they are eating. And then it's going to stop dropping, and then they go to like kind of like suckling a little bit. And then the suckling will go from like every second to every couple seconds to every minute to every like 5 minutes. When they get to that like 5-minute break thing, unlatch them, because
they're going to tear up.
I'm talking about them gums hurt. That is another tip.
You know, because teeth are under the gums, right? We all know that. Like, that's why they hurt. And it's a very light layer of gum. It has to be for the teeth to cut through. So it is a very light layer. So yeah, definitely pay attention to those feeding cues. And like you said, when they're done, they will let you know. They will cluster feed. If your baby does cluster feed, don't feel guilty about it. Again, if you can pump or supplement, however you can do that, you can leverage that as well. That's another way to get your spouse involved, is to, if you're able to pump, you can let them. That if you have milk available, then that gives them another opportunity to be able to do that. So Mom Crumbles in Confession says, my baby started cutting teeth at 3 months. Right. So if you got an early teeth cutter, you're going to be in trouble. So don't let that baby idle.
Yeah, I got lucky. So my 1-year-old, absolutely no teeth on her first birthday. Every single birth picture, she's smiling on her first birthday at the party. No, just gums. No teeth, all gums. She started walking at 10 months. My 1-year-old cut 2 teeth right at 10 months. Mommy? No more till after she turned 1. So I was kind of lucky with them and not having teeth. I haven't gotten bit by. Can you get something out of my closet? No. Out of your closet, out the pantry. Out the pantry? What do you want? Go. You cannot. No chips. Okay. So yeah, like they bite with the yeah with the teeth.
Yeah.
Just have, but plus I just wanted it to just the tip or whatnot. I mean, not the tip for plus feeding, but when their babies are feeding for new moms and some moms that may not know it, when your baby is hungry, they will have tightly balled fists. I'm talking about nothing gonna break that grip. When they're not hungry anymore, their hands will slowly start to open, and it'll either look like this or they'll open it completely and rest it on your boob. And that's when they start to suckling. You can unlatch them at that point. They're good, and they're gonna bite if you don't. Like so, when they do bite, my last tip: when they bite, don't freak out. Because the baby gonna latch harder. If you freak out, he's gonna bite down. Even my son bites down harder. When I go, oh my gosh, like if I say something, just take your finger and slightly push up on the side of their little lip, and it breaks the latch. You can also, I think, at the bottom of I don't ever do the bottom of the nose because I can never. I am big. I am a trip. I think at this point I think I'm a 38 triple D right now. So. Trying to find his nose not gonna work. It's trying to stick because I'm gonna have to like lift my boob up, slide my finger, and that's too much. My nipple been it'd be gone by that time. Trying to get it out his mouth. Just take their hand and push the side of the lip. Automatically breaks the latch, and you can pull them off. Kennedy, what?
Oh wait. Mom's Convos and Confession says, I screamed that my son didn't want to latch for a whole 24 hours because you had traumatized him. He like, wait, is this what happens when I try?
Yeah.
But
don't freak out. Take a deep breath, bite down on your, you take a deep breath and you bite down and then you unlatch them. Because if you scream, like she just said, they will either not want to feed anymore because they're going to, it can traumatize them. They're small. They don't know what's going on. And now the first time I got bit with some teeth, oh, baby.
Now, yes, I had, when we were in the toddler and I was like, whoa, hold on.
We were past 1 year old, and I wanted to square up with my 1-year-old. I'm like, girl, I will fight you. Cause I'm talking, she bit me and then she looked up at me dead in my, I'm talking about y'all, she locked eyes with me and then smiled. And I'm like,
got her.
So you woke up and chose violence today. Cause no man.
Like you said, she woke up and chose violence. I swear, I mean, this has been such a great conversation. We got to do this again. So I'm so glad you were so willing to come on. Thank you for your time. I know you got a house full that you are navigating so beautifully. So please make sure y'all go follow. Again, tell everybody where they can follow you and keep up with all the amazing things that you are doing.
So
in the life of motherhood and wifedom and queendom and all that.
So Instagram, I'm transparently Timorya on Instagram. I'm tagged in a lot of you can find me
in the pin. I got you tagged
at the bottom. So transparently Timorya on all social platforms. My name is the same on all of them. Instagram, TikTok. I'm getting into YouTube. I shared my entire pregnancy and the first part of my postpartum journey on YouTube. I need to go back to it. It's just been kind of hard with trying to manage 3 kids and my 4-year-old just going to preschool. So trying to, just delegate and shift things around and get things.
And doing all the things. But it's everything in its season and in timing. So it now may be time, to revisit it when you can. We're here for it.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What else? LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm transparently Timorya on all of those platforms. And I'm normally when I share anything, but if you want to see like videos and actual things of like me, my day-to-day is going to be definitely Instagram because I am on all day. Like you always have your phone in your hand and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So Instagram is my let out and my kids love to be recorded. Like they not shy. they not scared at all. They're always ready, always on point. Hopefully he be the same way. But if you need anything, if y'all in the emergency room, I am not a doula, but I've done it 3 times. I will call me and I will click over and call my doula and I will link y'all in together and you can ask whatever questions you need, or you can just ask me. Like, I am always available. You can always send me a DM if you have any questions, if you want to know anything. Again, I was a prior probation officer. I also I'm a certified teacher. So I taught for 2 years, but I've been out of the classroom because of COVID and just having babies. And I don't know if y'all know, but daycare is too expensive, and I'm not about to be paying $1,800 a month. Like, I'm not. I just
to go to work.
Exactly. Like, I will be going to work to be able to afford for my children to go to daycare, and I just can't do. I can't do it. So, I'm always available. If you need anything, have any questions, hit me up. I have been through everything from postpartum depression, the baby blues, postpartum preeclampsia that a lot of people don't know anything about. If you have a baby and you start having a headache, do not ignore your headache. Check your blood pressure. That should be the first thing that you do. If it is elevated above 130/80, call your OB. Okay? Call somebody.
That is important because it is, and these things are taking us out left and right. And so the very first thing that we talked about at the top of this conversation was that it is Black Breastfeeding Week, and we're celebrating that, and we're taking this time to encourage each other to advocate for ourselves and have an advocate with you. Yes. Just like Timorya said, I mean, it's necessary to make sure that we come out. And the postpartum period, that's the other thing I just want to lift up. The postpartum period is actually 365 days after post-delivery. Yes. It's not the 6-week checkup. It's not 12 weeks. It's not it's 6 months. It is a whole year.
It is.
That you could still experience preeclampsia, have different medical challenges and things like that. And then postpartum depression, that can actually come up to 2 years post-delivery. So these are things that it's important for us to know as a community. That's why we always say on CocoLife.Black, we're cultivating community. We are going to start partnering with some of our doula friends and hosting virtual mommy time conversations where you can listen to the likes of like Timorya sharing her story and being able to ask questions in a very private and intentional platform. Because again, now that's one thing that we can leverage because of the virtual nature of how things are now, is we can jump on a Zoom, we can jump on a call and utilize each other as resources. Yes. So you all just added yet another one to the resource crew. Any final words that you have?
Just delegate. The only thing that I can do, just overemphasize delegating tasks to other people and fighting for yourself, because nobody else is gonna do it. So yep. Fight for yourself. Ask for help. It's help everywhere. There is help everywhere. Like, get on Instagram and use your hashtags. Hashtag doula, and then click on it, and all of the doula, or you can hashtag, or you can search for that. They're gonna pop up.
Yeah.
You look at them. You pick one, and you go from there. So like, just fight for yourself. If you feel like something is wrong, it probably is. Ask for help. Do not try to figure it out on your own.
Definitely. And yes, moms and combos and confessions. Yeah, that sounds definitely like what it was. She was saying that she had tingling in her leg and numbness for almost a year, and no one could tell me what it was. I mean, there's so many different things that could be. So many different things that could be. So that's why it is important. Yes, it's important to catch that 6-week checkup, but if you need it before 6 weeks, go. Like, don't wait till the 6 weeks and think that that's your only time. And don't think that you got to wait now a whole year for your regular appointment after that. Right. Just, again, make sure that you continue advocating for yourselves. That's the only way that we will be able to keep each other safe and alive, more importantly. And then as you were talking about the experience during this pandemic, I did post a few comments up, so go look for that. There was, again, this amazing article that was co-authored by Adrian and Nikel, and it was all around our experiences as Black women. Our experiences as Black women, it is huge. It's huge, and how they become even more crucial for us to lift those up during the pandemic. So those
Yes.
are things that we absolutely want to be sure to lift up too. So if you have any interest in joining these conversations with us as we continue the Boob Banter, we'll do another check-in probably tomorrow and continuing on. Please just DM us and let us know. But thank you so much again, Transparently Timorya. We love you so much for taking this time out this morning. Y'all make sure y'all keep following us at cocolife.black, where we are here to continue supporting moms bump and beyond. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
See y'all.
Bye.